Hello, 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 wherever you are around the world. Welcome to A Cup of Tea with who? A cup of tea, yes, a cup of tea with who? Dr. Z. This is all about everyday women all over the world doing extraordinary things, extraordinary stories. And this is episode 3. You are so welcome. Why did I start this amazing podcast? The main reason really is for people, women particularly around the world, to know that you're not alone. The amazing Lisa Nichols uses the word Yana, Yana. You are not alone. And I want you to know, wherever you are around the world, that indeed you are not alone. You might feel that someone like myself or anyone else is this amazing superwoman. But hear me, I've got blood just like you. I am an everyday woman just like you, with my own struggles, my own challenges, my own traumas, my own experiences. And I want you to know that you also can step up and help someone else by listening to these stories. I'm hoping that as we do these over the years and years and years, I'm speaking into the future, that a story will resonate with you in one way or another. It will resonate with you so much that you know that you have every reason to be here on this earth, and there is someone waiting for you to just get out of bed and show up. I don't care who you are. You might be a homemaker somewhere in Arkansas somewhere, or you may be a road sweeper somewhere in Southwark in London, or perhaps you're a train driver, or perhaps you're a doctor, you're an engineer. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. The most important thing is that you are an everyday woman, and an everyday woman somewhere around the world needs to hear your extraordinary story. Now, my next guest, I mean, if you listen to the first one, we had the amazing Lisa Marie Flynn, all the way from Ottawa in Canada. And then we had the phenomenal, incredible Tayo Oyunola, all the way from London, where I'm in. And our third guest, drum roll, I'll tell you in a minute. Now, a little bit more about me. Now, I'm a leadership coach. I'm known as a reinvention queen. For those of you that know me, I help people move from we to me after divorce. That's one part of what I do. But I also help leaders show up better in terms of their planning for crisis, in terms of going beyond their imposter syndrome and really being the best leader that they can be, so that they can manage teams more effectively and ensure that performance, productivity, and profit is maximized on every side. I'm also an author, but if I talk about who I am and what I am, we're going to spend the whole 30 minutes and more doing that. And it really isn't about what I am, it's about who I am, an extraordinary, ordinary, everyday woman just like you. Right, let me tell you a little bit about my next guest. My next guest is an amazing woman, really is. I met her some years back, and we'll talk about that when I bring her on the show. Now, she is, oh, note to self, put my phone on mute, just done that. Well, so as I was saying, now, she is a woman who works with enabling adult survivors of child abuse and trauma to have a voice and a passion. Have a voice, and that is her passion and her life purpose. Together with her own lived experience as a survivor of abuse and in her professional work, this person, okay, I can tell you her name, Beverly, works with clients who make substantial changes to their own physical, mental, that's neurological, and emotional wellness, including those who have been bedbound and or are restricted in their everyday lives. So that could be you, with chronic illnesses and pain. She's also the proud founder of the Step Forward practice in 2017 and a member of the Institute of Recovery from Childhood Trauma, IRCT. I happen to be a member of that as well. Beverly Ann is proud to be an award-winning accredited outstanding recovery practitioner for chronic fatigue and pain, specializing in, yes, you've guessed it, adults overcoming adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, for those of you that may not know, ACES. In addition, she has hosted several events across different sectors, including speaking with Category D young male prisoners and facilitating workshops and question and answer panels. Today, Beverly's happily remarried, and I have to say this because her husband is absolutely a hunk of a man. Lovely guy, lovely guy, lovely guy. He's going to hear this, he's going to smile to himself. She's currently studying for another degree at the Open University, and she also co-hosts another podcast called Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward with her amazing colleague Chris Tuck. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring her into the green room so you can see for yourself who this amazing woman is. Hello, Beverly.
Hello, Sina.
Lovely to have you. You know, coughing and spluttering. I hope I'm not going to give you any of my allergies, but I said to myself, the show must go on. It must go on no matter what. It has to go on. So here we are. You know, I was reading your bio, and I know your bio. I mean, it's much more extensive than I've actually read. You've done a whole lot of things. But the reason I brought you onto this show today, not because, I mean, obviously you're my friend, I love you to bits, but I know, a bit biased. So if you're not on the show, it doesn't mean I don't love you. No, I love you to bits. But one of the reasons I brought you onto the show is because when I first met you years ago, years and years ago, you are such a humble, you're my definition of an everyday woman. No airs and graces, you know, you keep it real. She actually got me up a up a mountain. That's a different story for another podcast. Maybe I'll bring her back next year and we talk just about how to overcome your challenges. And yeah, that's actually I'm going to keep that holding you to it so you can't escape. We'll talk about that. We happened to do some charity work with called the Female Entrepreneurs Expedition, and we were 15 women from different sectors all over the UK and yeah, out and outside the UK. And we decided to go to Malawi to do some charity work with domestic abuse survivors, work with orphans, work in the village with women, watching women do banking and all sorts of amazing things. We went to the Samaritans Trust, and we also climbed the highest mountain in Malawi called Mount Malonji. I'm not going to say anything about that anymore because.
Can I just say?
Yes, what's that?
For 6 months, Anya kept saying, Beverly, come on this. I was like, thank you, but no. And in the end, it was after she called me after an interview and she said, don't you want to go? And I went, yes, I would like to go, but, and that was it, famous last words. Next thing,
Yeah.
I was going. And
Yeah.
I want to go back to when we first met as well, because it was when we were both speaking at a big event, a beautiful house in Tunbridge Wells.
Oh,
We were speaking
yeah.
in different rooms.
Oh,
We'd never met before, but we just sort of met in passing as different speakers. And later on, you were doing a live from the ground. And I just, bold as brass, walked up and said hello and joined in with you.
that is absolutely, because I've always been thinking, you know, how did we meet? That's so true. I was doing the Facebook Live. This must have been like 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
Oh my days. Absolutely. And it's been, you know, we've been inseparable ever since.
Oh,
And I must bring you back, Beverly, because we have to tell this story. And I've got people saying, tell the story. No, we can't. Today we're talking about the secret sauce with regards to forgiveness.
mhm.
The secret sauce of forgiveness. So we've got sauce, you know, we've got tomato sauce, we've got Braxton pickle, we've got chili sauce, we've got hot sauce. The Americans, especially in Louisiana, they like to talk about hot sauce, put hot sauce, you know. We got, and then you've got people from Ghana. They have this thing called shito, which is really, really hot, made with shrimps and oil, and it's really hot. Oh, sauce. Sauce is supposed to enhance.
Mhm.
And I just want to ask you, before we go into this really, really dig deep, what is your secret sauce? What is your favorite sauce?
Well, I like a mayonnaise, but with a little bit of spice in it. So like a chili mayonnaise or
Ah,
a garlic mayonnaise.
garlic mayonnaise. See, she's antisocial. Garlic mayonnaise. I love garlic
Oh
mayonnaise
yeah,
as
it's
well.
healthy.
It is healthy. It is healthy. I've been really, really rude. Do you want a cup of tea? And what do you like?
I'll have a ginger and lemon, please.
Oh my days, you're right up my street. I have COVID-like symptoms, and I've been just dozing up with lemon and ginger. I've done a test. I'm negative.
Yeah,
I don't
it's the
feel
virus.
negative. Yes, I feel.
No,
ah. So
lots of lemon and ginger, so
yeah.
good, and a dash of honey.
All right. So I'm just
Cup.
going to pour some for me. You know what? I'm being rude. Let me start with you first. Okay. Right. Move it across. Move it across. Yeah. 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 Oh no. I think move it the other way.
Is that
Yeah.
better?
Right. Yeah. We've got it in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll pour some for myself. And if you're watching anywhere around the world, please do go and have your own beverage as well. Preferably a nice hot cup of tea, ginger and lemon. That's what we're doing today. Um, yeah, and relax. Right, Beverly. So tell me about your forgiveness journey. Let people know that they are not alone. Like I said in the preview, we are not alone, Yana.
Well, to be honest, the word forgiveness, I will say, at one time was really challenging. So I actually like to call it acceptance or self-reflection, because really, when you think about forgiveness, we automatically think about forgiving someone else, but actually it has to start with ourselves. And ironically, I actually asked my husband in the car this morning, if I was to say forgiveness, what would come to your mind? And he actually said the same about self-reflection, thinking about yourself and forgiving oneself,
Hmm.
because it's very easy when something has happened to you. There's two different ways. Maybe someone unintentionally has hurt you or offended you, and it's unintentional. For me, I find that one quite easy, because it's like, okay, let's wait, if it's unintentional, let's communicate that back, but gently, and give them the awareness or the education about the language they're using. And I'm just thinking that off the top of my head.
Hmm.
When I think back to when I was growing up and the abuse that I'm a survivor of, say from my father, that was a very different forgiveness. However, I remember before I started my recovery, yes, I was a survivor, strong, absolutely I could do that. The hardest thing was to be vulnerable, because for me, I learned the word, you know, vulnerable meant not being safe.
Yes. Yes.
However, I love Brené Brown's The Courage to be vulnerable. Because once we learn that courage to be vulnerable, we then learn to go inside and look at ourselves. And I realised that I was carrying a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it. And that's not unnatural. It's not unnatural, when you speak to anybody who's been abused, whether it be domestic abuse, you know, let's be honest, I know that I've found myself in a relationship in the past that was abusive, but I never thought that would be me. I'm a strong woman, I've got strength and that,
Yeah.
but it happens. And once you realise, like, you don't want to tell anybody because you think, how's it going to make me look? And so we put this um, shame on ourselves and the guilt. And so for me, it really is about acceptance of self. It's about realizing that it's okay not to be this person who's always right. It's
Absolutely.
okay
Yes, yes.
to be a little bit vulnerable and ask for support. I mean, that was one of the hardest things.
I mean, it's funny you should say that. I'm just checking on Facebook as you speak to see comments that are coming through. I'll put the phone on mute, but you're right. The thing about not giving ourselves permission to be wrong, and also not giving ourselves permission to always be right.
Absolutely.
You know.
I also look back, I was brought up in children's homes. I was in several children's homes. And when I was 10, found out that at the beginning of December, oh, you're going to go home and live with your mum and dad. And actually, I didn't want to go home.
Not giving ourselves
Oh,
permission.
I can hear some feedback
Yeah,
there.
sorry, that was me. My
Excellent.
tech. Forget my tech.
I didn't want to go home. I actually wanted to stay in the children's home. And I was torn and I was really upset and I was being comforted. Now, for years, I could have walked around thinking, how bad were they? They didn't, ask me any questions. I don't look at it like that. I was able to forgive and let go of that, even as a young girl, because I didn't have the words and we didn't talk about it then. They didn't know how to ask me. So now that's why I'm passionate about what I do, about facilitating, about Q&A, making, having these conversations to raise awareness about being able to speak to children,
Yeah,
about the things that even adults don't want to
yeah,
talk about. Let's be honest.
yeah, yeah.
That had to come from a place of acceptance. That's what happened. Sometimes also as an adult we learn, like I was fostered at 15, which was fantastic by my English teacher, and I was really pleased. Sadly, it went downhill quite quickly, and it did hurt. It hurt massively, and at 16, I left there and I went and lived in a hostel, and I felt really unloved. I felt really unworthy. But on the other side of that, I was strong and I was going to change everything. You
Yes.
know, never again was I going to let anybody decide what's going to happen in my life. So forgiveness, if you'd asked me as a 16-year-old, can you forgive all the people around you? Absolutely no way. I was hurting. But now, as an adult looking back, do you know what? I'm now able to say to my foster mum, not that I've seen her for years, but I'm now able to look back and say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be fostered. And
Yes,
I understand that she didn't have the knowledge or the
yes,
tools and the
yes,
awareness.
yes.
Also, forgiveness to my 16-year-old self or 15-year-old self that who
Mm,
didn't know how to behave in a family, because when I was at home, I was the eldest of 6 siblings and I was the carer. I
yeah,
was the mum.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
to
yes,
suddenly go into an environment where I'm the child and I'm being
yes,
looked after, that that was alien, because when
yes,
you're in care as well, because it's an institution, and I loved my children's homes, but you're one of 18 children or 20 children, you don't get one to one.
and
So
that's really not funny, ha ha. But I know that there are families now, that they may be like, and they have their mum and dad, and the children are struggling to have a one-to-one with the parents
yeah,
because they might think that maybe the youngest sibling is being spoiled or being, cared for, so there's a sibling rivalry. And I guess from what you're saying, everyone at the bottom of our heart, everyone, doesn't matter how old you are, we all want to belong.
yes,
We all want to be loved. It doesn't matter what you may be saying. You might be listening right now. You're like, no, I don't care about what people. We all want to belong. We all want to be loved. We all want to be validated. You know,
absolutely.
and there's no shame in it. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It just means that we just need to learn how to find love in the right places, how to find validation in the right places. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you should go around, please validate me. No. um the right people will validate you if you're in the right place, but it doesn't mean that, because sometimes we get it wrong, and in the school playground, you join gangs, for instance, or you become a mean girl, and start bullying someone else because you want to be part of the in crowd. And we do it even as adults. You see it all over social media. You see cliques. I go to a church. You see it in churches as well. You see in every single group in the workplace. You will see little cliques, and you just try to kind of put yourself in that group. And for those of you that are just starting your career in the workplace, you would have heard several times, make sure you go to the pub. For those of us that are black, we tend not to like that kind of thing, but we tell our children, we tell our friends, go to the pub after work with everyone else, because that's where they broker promotions. And so you see, there's the work behavior, and then there's the after work, the after drinks, the leaving dues, and all that. And so we all want to have a sense of belonging, we all want to be loved, we want to be validated, but it's really important that we don't sabotage ourselves. And that's back to you, Beverly.
And that's the important part, because we can live our life according to the expectation of others. So if you look back in my life, at 16, I'm going to be successful. Now, at 16, the expectations of me were extremely low. I was a kid from care. I'd been in 2 different children's home, a foster home. And as I was growing up, the first question people ask you is, what have you done? Well, actually, I haven't done anything.
Mm.
Parents couldn't look after me for whatever reason. My dad was abusive. My mum struggled. And again, I've given her forgiveness for something. Some things are a little bit more challenging. But when in my 20s, it very much was, I'm not forgiving anyone. I'm just going to go forward. But we can only do that for so long.
Yes,
And
yes.
it catches up. And it was when I had children myself in like my late 20s, early 30s, I suddenly didn't want to be strong all the time. I didn't want to be fighting. I didn't want to carry the shame and this guilt. And having children did 2 things for me. One, it turned a mirror. So subconsciously, it's like, oh, I want to change things. I don't want my children to experience the kind of things that I've experienced. But not only that, I wanted to be a better person.
Yes,
But
yes,
basically to myself first and
yes,
foremost.
yes,
Because until we can look after ourselves, love ourselves, cherish ourselves, forgive ourselves for different things, different choices that we've made, how we've lived our life, how can we expect others to accept us for who we are? I wore a mask. I lived my life
yes,
according to how I thought other people wanted me to show
yes,
up.
yes, 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 yes,
Now, 60 next year, it's not that I don't care, but this is who I am now. This
yes,
is who I am.
yes,
I'm a human being. As you said earlier, I've got blood coursing through my veins. Sometimes I make mistakes, even if it's unintentional, if I feel that I've done something wrong, I'm sorry, I want the opportunity to put it right. But on the other side, there's also the other side. Actually, this is who I am, and I don't apologise for that now, because it's taken a lot of work to get there. And that sounds can come across occasionally as selfish. And I remember thinking this at first, ooh, that sounds selfish. And I didn't understand it because I'd always be looking after others first.
mm,
But if you think of the analogy, like when we were on the aeroplane,
absolutely.
when that oxygen mask comes down, I remember having very young children and she saying, the air hostess, and I will say she, because she was a she at that time, and she said, if you've got children, don't put the mask on them first, put them on yourself. And I thought, no way, put not my
Yeah,
children first.
absolutely.
Because that's what I used to do. I'd give everybody else the love. And now I understand, oh, okay. If I've given myself love, if I'm using that oxygen mask, putting that on first, then I can make sure my children have got their mask on because I'm breathing well. I can help the person next to me. I can help the people behind me. And I can help all the people in front of me if I really want to. And that's where forgiveness is really important, and we get the balance and we bring it back to ourselves.
You know, I mean, you've made so many valid points here, and one of the things you said that really resonate. I mean, everything you said resonates. But one of the things that resonates with me is the fact that I've often worn masks in the past. Wanting to be there for everyone else, be the nurturer, be the carer. And we have the tendency, when we are that kind of person, when we are empaths at heart, we have the tendency of putting ourselves at the back burner, just to be there for everyone else. But you really can't pour, and I got this again, you really can't pour from an empty cup. You really can't. You cannot help. You're actually doing the people that you have been called to serve a disservice. You're moving in unforgiveness. Like they like to say, you're taking Panadol for somebody else's headache. It affects your health, and we're almost running out of time. And so time really goes fast when you're having fun.
I know.
I want you to share 2 quick tips that people can use to take away with themselves. If you want to know her, I'll share her details. You'll see it on the replay. But Bev, yeah, please do share.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is sometimes when we give too much love to someone else and not to ourselves, what we're actually doing is disabling that other person as well. We're doing them a disservice because we're doing so much for them. So actually, we're disabling them and not enabling them to live their own life and make their own choices. And I'm saying that as we have people around us that are addicted. Look at addiction. You can still love somebody, but if you're not careful, you can love that person to their death.
Yes. And there's another show all by itself.
That's
another show all by itself.
And I wanted to give that as an example.
Yes.
Because, you love them, you want to do, you give them this, actually you're disabling them. So that's one thing.
Disabling and also enabling them to continue in, bad cycles. Yeah.
And, I'm a human being. I've had to learn that as well. So even though I'm professional, we have our personal life. I've had to learn all of that.
Yes.
And the other thing I would say is when we get up in the morning, the first thing we need to do is check in with ourselves. Okay? And look at what tools we have around. Now, I haven't got it close enough that I can get it out. One of the things I often use is what I call note sticks or post-it notes.
Yes.
Told off by Chris, my co-host on the podcast, because I'm always calling them note sticks. But sometimes it's really hard to think of ourselves if we're not used to doing it. So I use note sticks every so often. I'm not a big journaler for writing loads and loads of words. I will use the note sticks, and it's a message I want to send to myself. So, for instance, I've got one, and I happened to find it the other day in my phone cover, and I pulled it out, and it said along the lines of, I forgive myself for not always being perfect. I accept myself in my entirety. And if that's something that resonates for anyone listening, like, Beverly, what do you want to say? Beverly, how are you feeling? Then do it.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Bev. And these are her details. Beverly at stepforwardpractice.co.uk, and I'll share it on the replay as well. Thank you so much. Please forgive yourselves. Remember, you are not alone. On this show, we bring ordinary people doing extraordinary things. If you're here today and perhaps some of the stories that Beverly has shared with regards to being in care, being a survivor of adverse childhood experience, being an adult survivor, or anything else, addictions, and you want to know a bit more, please reach out. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere. Send me a note, send me a comment, and I'll make sure I link you all together. In the meantime, we've got to say bye-bye. We've got to time by 40 seconds. Oh no.
Be our shortest conversation.
I know. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Beverly. It was
Thank you.
amazing. You know, I have to bring you back. I've just realized there's so many things we can talk about. But bye-bye, everyone. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. A cup
Bye-bye.
of tea.
Thank you for the tea.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. God bless you.